Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. Thank you for joining us. We have a lot to get into, including how much would you want if you caught a ball hit by Albert Pujols, number 700, or Aaron Judge? You know, historic balls. Would you keep it? What would you do with it? And how much would you want if you decided to sell it? We'll get into that later, but the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, the Steelers plummeting right now, tied with the Bengals at 1-2. Facing the Jets this week. And here to talk about all aspects of the Pittsburgh Steelers is your panel. Tonight we have Chris Mueller from the PM team. To the far left in the middle is Yohe from The Athletic. Jason Mackey, wearing many hats right now with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. All right, so let's get right into it. Jason, I'm going to start with you. Everybody talks about identities. Steelers seem not to have one right now offensively. And if you're going to look at blame for what you've seen offensively, would it fall mostly on the quarterback, the OC, the head coach?
It's a world of problems right now, Pomp, right? What is the identity? I can't answer that. I wish I could. I mean, we have devolved to the point with the Steelers, I feel like, where it's degrees of bad. You know, we're looking for, wasn't that bad. You know, Canada wasn't terrible. I don't like where they've gotten to. I feel like they need to find something that they do well and bank on it, especially on defense, where we were talking about this before. TJ Watt and his impact on a game, it shouldn't be this large. They should still be able to produce in some capacity without him not stopping the run. How much they're able to eliminate, it's worrisome. Let's put it that way.
What's alarming to me, guys, is that through 3 weeks, the offensive line's actually been okay. I mean, it has. Yeah. Maybe, especially
degrees of bad.
I think they've been above average, actually. I think they've been, and by our standards we all had for them, they've been exceptional. I mean, they have not been a problem in any of these games.
We assumed 3 weeks ago, Mitch isn't going to have any time.
Don't start Kenny, he might get killed.
Right,
back
no
there.
running lanes. That hasn't been the case. He's had time. They did a great job on Myles Garrett the other night. They really did. I don't see anybody open. I don't see any real clear plan. So I don't think Mitch Trubisky's anything special. I'm not sure I'd even be playing him at this point. But what's Matt Canada ever done at the NFL level? He looks completely in over his head to me at this point. I don't see anybody open. I don't see any identity. I don't know where they go from here. I know it's very cliched, guys, to blame the offensive coordinator, but it's hard to have any faith in this guy.
When you hear players, they're all talking about, hey, we're just doing what they tell us to do. Chris, when you hear that, that's not exactly the kind of thing you want to hear.
No, okay, so I'm going to try to split the baby 3 ways. King Solomon would be very impressed here. First off, unless you have time to watch the All-22 cut-ups, which I try to when they come out, you know, I try to go through the game and look to it as much as I can. Trubisky's missing open guys. There are dudes running open, so that exonerates Canada to a degree. However, when he's completing passes, it's usually to guys who are more tightly covered than any other quarterback in the league. Not so exonerating for Matt Canada on that front. For Canada's part, Trubisky only sees half the field. So what are you going to do with a guy that's that limited? Everyone here not here in this room, but everyone in Pittsburgh. Oh no, he was ruined in Chicago. Oh, he got to run. No, he didn't. He stinks. This is who he is. Canada's scheme, my big problem with it is, it was designed, Bob, you're going to love this one because you use a term like this in the preseason all the time. It worked 1 year phenomenally well in college against undisciplined players who won't be in the NFL. You call them the future bartenders of America. I say the enterprise rent-a-car management trainees of the future, like guys who are going to be going pro in something other than football. It's not a pro-style scheme. It's not pro-style concepts. However, I will quickly say that I blame option C. The dude who hired Matt Canada and the dude who said Mitch Trubisky's my starting quarterback, there is no actual competition regardless of what I say. I think this falls on Mike Tomlin. I think this is his lowest hour as Steelers head coach, and I don't really think it's close either.
Well, if you look at the coaching tree, there haven't been many from them. And also, I mean, even with, line coaches, after Mike Munchak, there have been 3 of them, and they're kind of guys who've been around, not many people know about, and they've been hired, and they continue to cycle those guys. So that's a legitimate concern, I think. Jason, I'll ask you about, what you would do at this point when Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, dynamic that's never going to go away. We're going to talk about it. Would you think he'd make a change this week in advance of the Jets, or wait until the bye week when that seems to be the most prudent time to do it?
I would make the change right now, Paul.
Or is he
I would have made the change 3 days ago, and I agree with what Chris is saying. By all means, give me another option. Give me another look. Maybe some of those guys that are open that Mitch Trubisky is either barely missing or not even throwing the ball to, maybe Kenny Pickett finds them. I don't know. Maybe he goes off script and ignores the entire shoddy plan. I don't know. But what I have seen through their 3 games so far is not good enough. That's going to get them nowhere. And as Chris said, I mean, it's going to continue. Mike Tomlin's lowest hour is, I mean, that's not going to net them anything. So why not go to Pickett at this point?
Yeah, news bulletin, this isn't a Super Bowl team. It's almost certainly not a playoff team. Everything should be about grooming Kenny Pickett. That's your first-round pick. That's your future. If this does become a championship organization in the next 5 years, he's the guy leading the way. Okay, so everything's about getting him ready. And to me, I have a theory, and this is hockey, football, baseball. If a guy's going to be good at the professional level, I don't think you can rush him too much. I hear people say, well, you're going to get killed against Buffalo and Tampa. Who cares? Let him play.
Right.
If he's ready to play, if his grasp of the offense is
Joe
there,
Burrow did.
He's 24 years old.
Right. Yeah,
he's not a young
we
guy.
know, like
He's
you said,
not a young guy.
we know who Mitch is. He's an average
good.
at best
But the thing
NFL
is,
quarterback. That's
with
it.
regard to this year, Chris, if Kenny Pickett does get a start this week, does the offense change at all in terms of they're going to call the same play calls?
I really believe Kenny Pickett already at this juncture in his NFL career, he's less of an athlete than Trubisky. Doesn't have as good of an arm, pure arm, and he's not as fast, not as mobile, but he's way better already, I think, at seeing coverage. I know he was looking at vanilla stuff in the preseason that's easy maybe to read, but Trubisky locks in on first read and then check down. He sees half the field. The play to Deontay Johnson on the first series in that game against Cleveland where Denzel Ward makes a nice play. Somebody cut it up from right behind the quarterback's view, the end zone view. There's Freiermuth standing in the middle of the field. It requires Trubisky to look like a smidgen to his left, and he's 15 yards clear of anybody just standing there. So I think Kenny Pickett would do a better job with that. The only thing to Josh's point, which is interesting that he decided to bring it up, if you believe a guy will be the man, then you can't. There's no such thing as rushing him. Did anybody watch Tampa Bay's defense today? That's in a couple of games for them.
Pretty good.
I would not really want to throw Kenny Pickett into that.
Even Buffalo's defense can be really good.
So here's the thing.
Off of it.
So
you have to go. You have to give him the
No, I'd rather
opportunity to do
listen.
it.
If it's like I'm going
So
to
what,
live in
they
my
eat
fears
Mitch
or not,
Trubisky?
yeah, I'm going to put him out there, but I think he's going to get clobbered probably, and it's going to be a baptism by fire.
Which is okay.
Which is fine. I mean, I think you have an easier time waiting actually on him if you want to wait if you lose this Jets game. Because guess what? You're going into that Tampa game, 1-4 at that point. You're not going to be a winning team.
You make a good point, Chris. I think for NFL quarterbacks, sure, some guys have Mahomes kind of talent, whatever. The most important asset you can have is the ability to read defenses, to read a field. Mitch doesn't have it. It's obvious.
Never has.
He does stare.
Never has.
He stares guys down. There's no
All our
question about
Chicago
that.
insiders told us that, Bob. We were having people on left and right, and even the guys who liked him in Chicago and thought he maybe got a raw deal said he doesn't process coverage.
I still expected more. I haven't seen more. I've seen
But
less.
why? I don't mean to
only
be like a
say
big jerk here, but why?
I'm up against a break.
He
but
went 6 of 8. He went 6 of
I
8
know.
last year. That's it.
That's it. I understand that. But in that 1 year in Chicago where he made it to the Pro Bowl, I thought he made some good throws in there. Plus, he had 10 rushing touchdowns. Bottom line is, I thought better. And so far, it hasn't been that way. You can't score 44 offensive points in 3 games and expect to win games. You're just not going to do it in the NFL. When we come back, Jason hit upon it, the defense. We'll talk about that. And how important is TJ Watt? Is he that important that when he goes out of there, they just are not even close to being the same defense? We'll talk about it next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.
#1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by #1 Cochran. Go one better.